Hello everyone and welcome to the Introduction to Business Management course. My name is Bellairs. I'm a board member of the Southern African Alumni Network and an entrepreneur. I've been running a skills development company for the last 6 years where we've been training young entrepreneurs, young chefs, and digital skills. So today I want to talk about what is entrepreneurship. Then we're going to go into how to develop your business idea into a workable business model or a business plan. Next, we're going to tackle doing your market research. And lastly, we'll touch on how to get your business registered and ready to operate. So what is entrepreneurship? Now, an entrepreneur is something that is very different from a small business operator, meaning that an entrepreneur is someone who doesn't just start a business and operates it. An entrepreneur is someone who identifies a need in the community and finds a way to solve it. It is more than just starting and maintaining a business. It is the creation or extraction of value from a raw material to suit a specific need. This raw material can be anything. It can be a skill that you have developed to the point that you have gained mastery over it. It can be a service that you provide that requires a specific set of skills. It can be materials such as plants, sand, soil, baking products such as flour, eggs, chicken. Any kind of raw material that you have to process and develop into an end product. That is what entrepreneurship is about. It is about taking that raw material and developing an end product that actually addresses people's needs and wants. And a small business operator is someone that starts up a business, runs the business, and maintains it, but it is only to see to their own financial gain or see to their own needs. They're not thinking of the bigger picture of addressing a need or solving a problem in society or developing a business and scaling it to the point that it's a national or a multinational or a regional kind of business. Entrepreneurship also comes with a willingness to take risks. When you are running your business, there are going to be times where you'll need to take a risk in order to get financial gain or in order to get a certain position for your business. This risk comes with making decisions that you are uncertain about. It comes from whether or not you're going to go in a direction that you're not certain about, or whether you're going to take on a big project not having the certainty that you are ready to do so. When you're starting your business, it's going to take a lot of personal effort and time. Because at the end of the day, when you start your business, it's only you in the business. And you still have to convince others to buy into the idea of your business. You still have to convince others to work for you and teach them how to deliver the message of your business, how to do the product or service the way that you would do it. And that is when we talk about scalability, when you are bringing in other people to be able to offer the same service that you offer under your banner. So entrepreneurship comes with a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of risk taking, and a lot of going out there and making it happen. The characteristics of an entrepreneur. Depending on who you search and where you go, there are many different characteristics of an entrepreneur. The ones I have listed here are simply the ones that I thought most prudent to the audience that we are speaking to. So let's assume that you want to start your business. Now, it might be that you don't have all 7 of these characteristics, but that is fine because these are characteristics that you can work on and build on and develop in yourself over time. Entrepreneurship is a lifelong journey of learning and adapting. And so over your lifetime, you will inevitably be building on the skills you have or acquiring new ones in order to run and expand your business. The first thing you need as an entrepreneur is self-motivation. And you need to have that drive and energy to do things yourself. Because when you're starting your business, you're on your own or you're with business partners. But you need to be self-motivated. You need to motivate yourself to get up every morning, to go out there, start your hustle, and make that money. Because if you're not self-motivated and you wait around for opportunities, at the end of the day, opportunities won't come to you. At the end of the day, your income won't just walk into your door and offer itself to you. You have to go out there and get it. And that's why self-motivation is important. Perseverance is important. The next thing is you need to understand what you offer. You need to understand the product or service that you offer. You need to understand the process of developing the product or developing the service that you offer. And you need to be able to communicate that to others. If you are uncertain about how you make your product or how you offer your service, you're not going to convince anyone to buy from you or to use your service. So you need to understand intrinsically what it means to make your product, to use your product, what are the benefits thereof, and what are the benefits of using your service. This is important because when you are approaching someone, either in an elevator pitch or perhaps a new funder, someone who's going to give you business, you need to be able to explain to them very quickly and in a very precise manner what your business is. An understanding of your product is very important. It is also important to convey this understanding to your staff, people who will be working for you. If you come out with a special, let's use KFC as an example. Let's say KFC comes out with a new product, a new special. If the tellers who are at the store do not know this product, they will be unable to sell it. If customers have questions and they don't know how to answer it, customers won't buy that product. And so understanding the product or service is very important. Next, take risks. You need to be able to take risks as an entrepreneur because that is how your business will grow. That is how you'll be able to enlarge your capacity as a business. If the Colonel never thought of opening another store, Colonel's Fried Chicken or KFC would have ended in the 1940s when it started. It never would have developed into the global franchise it is today. And so taking risks is part of growing your business. But you shouldn't be reckless when you take these risks. You also need to calculate the risk and the consequences of failure versus the risk and the consequences of success. You also need to weigh whether there is more chance of success than there is of failure. And you need to do this by looking at your human resources, your networks and capabilities, and the financial options available to you. If you're in construction and you get a tender to do a bridge or a building or a housing project, but you don't necessarily have the staff or capacity to do so at present, but you've been awarded the tender, you need to now look at how will you be able to mitigate the risk of failure. Will you be able to hire enough staff in time? Will you be able to get the equipment that you need in time? And will all of those things be within budget? So when we talk about taking risks, you need to calculate whether this will work out or not, whether it is within your capabilities or whether you'll be able to rise to the occasion. If you only have a small kitchen and you've only ever made 10 takeaways a day, you've only got a 2-burner gas stove and a few pots, it's not worth it to take a risk to feed 1,500 people in a day, because the capabilities that you have versus the reward and the risk that you're taking is too much of a gap. So therefore I say, always calculate your risks and see whether it is practically and humanely possible to do the job. Fourth, you need to know how to network. Networking is essential to help your business grow. Once you've registered and started your business, you need to tell other people about this. You need to tell them about your business. You need to sell them your product or service. Now, networking doesn't necessarily just happen in a formal space, through a formal meeting or formal networking sessions or networking events. Networking can be you standing in the line at ShopRite and talking to the next person about your business, or you walking in a mall and hearing somebody complain about something that you know your product or service solves, and then you can speak to them. Networking and having basic people skills is an essential tool. As the owner of your business, you will know best about your business. You will know best about your product. And so it is your duty to go out there and make sure that you have business, to drum up business for yourself, that you build up your reputation. So go out there, meet people, tell them about your service, tell them about your business. Fifth, you need to have basic money management skills and knowledge. Now, you don't need an accounting degree to be able to run your business. You don't need to be a computer fundi or someone who knows the ins and outs of an Excel spreadsheet to be able to run a business. This is knowledge and skills that you can acquire over time. But the basics you do need to have. You need to know how to record every expense, every income that you generate. You do need to know how to balance a budget in terms of income and expenditure. You need to be able to make enough income to cover your expenses and then hopefully even enough for some profit and savings. And there are multiple tools that you can use to assist you in this. As long as you have a basic understanding of income and expenditure and a basic understanding of how to record your expenses, tools such as QuickBooks and Sage Accounting, yes, they are paid for tools, but these are tools that you could use to develop your business. They link directly to your bank account and automatically record and run your statistics for you, showing you the amount of profit you make per month versus your annual profit, showing you where you've increased and decreased. And these tools can help you figure out strategies of improving or selling more in a particular direction. Second last, you need to be flexible as an entrepreneur. Sometimes you have this idea of a perfect plan. You've thought of everything possible, but then something happens and it throws you off guard. And this will happen. Inevitably in life, nothing always goes according to plan. As an entrepreneur, you need to be flexible. You need to have a plan B and a plan C in place. You need to be able to adapt to the situation. If a key employee gets sick and they can't come into work on a particular day, you need to be flexible enough to rotate the staff or manage on your own. If a key piece of equipment breaks down, you need to be flexible enough to be able to make a plan B, get a new equipment, or hire something, or get someone else to bring you something. So flexibility and being able to think on your feet is something that you need as an entrepreneur. Now, this is also something that you can develop, how to think quickly, how to think on your feet, but it can also be mitigated through planning and having a plan B and a plan C in place, just in case something happens. And lastly, you need to have passion. As an entrepreneur, you need to be passionate about your product or service, because at the end of the day, people don't just buy a product, they buy who you are. So if you come across passionately, if you come across as someone who knows the product or service and people feel the drive and passion coming from you, they're more likely to buy from you than someone who's just like, hi, do you want to buy this? If you look at door-to-door salesmen, you're more likely to buy from the more enthusiastic salesman than you are from the person who's just like knocking on your door and like, hi, can I interest you in a mirror or a rug? So passion speaks volumes. People are drawn to energy. People are drawn to passion. And so when you show that passion, others are more interested in your product or service. But not only that, you need to be passionate about your business or about your product or service. Because at the end of the day, you have to train others to be passionate. You have to train others to understand what you offer. You have to motivate yourself to go to work. If you're not passionate about a thing, if you're not passionate about your business, you're not going to put in 110%. You'll rather put in 50 or 60%. And if you don't put in 100%, it is very likely that your business will fail. Now, failure is also not the end line. Failure in business is a learning curve. Because once you failed in business, you now know what not to do and what to do. And so you should never be afraid of failure because it is a learning curve. and with the help of constructive feedback, failure can be a great motivator for success. In fact, some of the biggest business people in the world have failed, and they failed massively. But they've learned from their failures and developed their businesses. Even Donald Trump, he has gone bankrupt twice, but he's built a multi-billion-dollar company out of his failures. Next, we're going to look at how to develop your business idea. So you've had this thought, you've had an idea, perhaps you were laying late at night in your bedroom and you were just thinking, or perhaps you were walking down the street and you saw a need and you thought of a way to address this need. Perhaps you were eating at KFC and realized you have a better recipe for fried chicken, or a better idea of how to make a burger. It doesn't matter what has inspired you, but you have this idea and you're not sure how to take it into a workable business, something that could be profitable. Well, next we're going to take a step-by-step look at how you can develop this idea into something that is a workable business. And once we're done with developing your business model canvas, you'll be able to translate all that information into a workable business plan. So firstly, we will need to look at, why is your product or service a need or a want? Why would people want to buy it? Why would people want to use it? Who will use this product? What kinds of people? And how will they get your product? How will it be delivered to them? Will you need a store? Are you doing online? Do you need delivery vans? And we're going to take an in-depth look at this. And then lastly, you do need to talk to your intended target audience. Once you know exactly who you are going to sell your product or service to, talk to them. See what they are unsatisfied with in terms of people already delivering the service. Talk to them and find out, what are their needs? What other add-ins do they need to this product or service that you could perhaps provide that gives you an edge over your competitors? Once you have this valuable insight, you can begin to adapt and build your idea into a business. So this is an example of a business model canvas. There will be an online pack where this template will be included. And we're going to go through each section individually to look at how you can develop your idea using these 9 tenets. So you can print this out, write in it, or use sticky notes and just paste your ideas in there. Give it a day or two and then come back and look at the board. Doing this visually and graphically in this way gives you a good sense of how your business will run. And it also allows you to look at it with a different lens. The customer segment or customer segmentation. This section speaks to who your customers are going to be. Who specifically are you targeting? When you're looking at your customers, you need to look at age groups. You need to look at gender roles. You need to look at racial categories. Not so much the race, but it does play a factor in consumer behavior or how certain customers behave. You need to look at the kinds of areas that they live in. You need to look at their behavior patterns. Where do they go? What kinds of activities do they like? You don't necessarily have to get that specific, but you do have to be cognizant of all of these facts when identifying your target market, because understanding your customer and the consumer behavior helps you market your product to them in the best possible way. Where do they shop? What kinds of places do they go to? How do they shop? Are they people who shop for specials and only specials? Are they people who shop with membership cards, such as with Clicks and Pick and Pay? Are they people who stick to one service provider if that person provides a good service and stays with that person for the rest of their lives? So understanding consumer dynamics or understanding your customer is important. And to do this, you don't necessarily need a marketing degree or consumer studies degree. All you have to do is go out there and talk to them. Talk to them about your idea. Ask them what they would like. Ask them how do they behave. What is the minimum or maximum price range they're willing to pay. You could even just sit outside a mall and watch the types of consumers that come into the mall and exit the mall, especially if you're looking to set up shop in that particular mall. Next, we're going to look at value proposition. Now, your value proposition is sort of a question of whether your business has a legal right to exist. It's a question of what do you offer that is significantly different from every other offer. It is a question of what makes your business special. What do customers gain from using your product or services that is unique to you? Why should your customer buy from you and not your competitor? What value do you bring that others do not offer? So let's use KFC as an example. KFC has its 11 herbs and spices that makes their fried chicken leagues different from every other fried chicken because nobody else has this 11 herbs and spices. Nobody else has this recipe. Other people have a process of how they build or make their service. Let's look at Armani and Louis Vuitton. These are bags that have any function as a bag at the China shop or Chinatown. However, people are willing to pay tens of thousands of rands. Why? Because of the process it takes to make the bags. The bags are hand stitched by craftsmen who've developed the craft over decades. The same with Ferrari and Lamborghini. Ferrari and Lamborghini only build one car at a time, and they build their cars per customer order, and they take 6 months to build a car. They spend time and attention to detail to building their cars, and that is why people buy from them. That is why these products or services have such value and have such status because of the process, because of what they do to make their product unique. So you need to look at your idea and your business and think of things or find things that make it unique. It could be something as simple as for every product or every service that they use, you donate to a worthy cause, or you help put money in a trust fund that can be used for children to go to college, for example. In these day and times, such things, especially social impact, is very important to consider with a business. And so if you add value to your customers by saying, by using our service, you are helping this community or that community or this center, then they are more likely to buy from you because they know they get that good, warm feeling inside that they're helping not just you as an entrepreneur, but they're helping a certain sector of the community. So look at what kind of value does your service bring? Is it the amount of skill required? Did you spend 30 years developing this skill? We look at Picasso. Picasso is a famous Italian painter. And there's this proverb that says, a woman came up to Picasso and said, Picasso, could you please do a portrait of me? And Picasso picked up his pencil and his pad, and within 30 seconds, he drew an exact likeness of this woman. And he gave her the portrait and said, okay, that will be $10,000. And she was like, how can it cost $10,000? It took you 30 seconds to do. And Picasso responded by saying, well, it took me 30 years to develop the skills to be able to do that in 30 seconds. And so that is the value he adds to his artwork. It is the amount of skill, it is the process. Is your product healthier than other things on the market? Value proposition is what gets people to buy into your business. Next, we look at the key activities. Now, when we say key activities, we're not saying all the things you need to do to make your business run. What we're talking about in key activities are what are the things that your business cannot go without. If you are KFC, your business cannot go without your 11 herbs and spices and frying the chicken. If you cut out any one of those steps, KFC is no longer profitable. So those are the key activities. So what are the activities that you absolutely need to do to deliver your service? If we look at Google, Google needs to have servers that are running 24/7. Because if you go onto Google and their servers are down, you can't do any search. And therefore the Google search engine is useless. So that is a key activity, maintaining their servers. These key activities can be processing, can be baking, preparing, selling, driving, purchasing. But you need to think about your idea. And in order to deliver your idea to a consumer, what are the absolute necessities that you need to do that? Where if one of these things is missing, or if this step is missing, or if this process is missing, then your whole business falls apart. And that is your key activities. So in the key activity section, this is where you will write down the absolute essential activities that you need to do. And then you need to look at what are the key resources you need to deliver the service. So let's use KFC again. KFC's key activities is spicing the chicken with the 11 herbs and spices, frying the chicken, selling it at a pay point. The resources they need to do this is they need a table or a clean surface to spice the chicken. They need a deep fryer to fry the chicken, and they need a till as their point of sale to be able to sell the chicken. And so now that you know what are the absolute necessary tasks that you need to do to deliver your product or service, you can now determine what kind of resources you need. If your business is to be a freelance facilitator, you'll need your own transport, you'll need your own laptop and your own projector, and perhaps even your own mobile Wi-Fi network. These are key resources to deliver the training material that you need. These are key resources to develop the service that you are offering. So what are the resources that your business can absolutely not go without? Next, you should identify your partners. Who are the people, organizations, and other companies that you need to reach out to make your dream happen? Who are the people that are absolutely essential that you need to pull into your business to make it happen? If you are a facilitator, one of your key partners would be the CTAs, who offer the accreditation of courses. So if you need to facilitate a course that is accredited, you need to go to someone, or you need to go to the CTA who gives you this accreditation. They are the accreditation authority and the accreditation body of our country. If you are selling food, you will need a certificate of acceptability to certify that your kitchen is operating under proper hygiene conditions and that the government condones you selling food from your premises. And so a key partner would be the Department of Health. If you are offering medical services, a key partner would be a network of local doctors or dentists. If we look at Discovery is an insurer, but in order for them to provide their service, they need to have certain dentists, certain doctors, and certain people on an approved list of practitioners to say that these are the people that we know provide good quality service, and our customers who go to them will not be disappointed and will not leave there in an unwell state. So the key partners for Discovery are the doctors that they have contracted to them, are the motor vehicle repairs and mechanics that they have on their payroll, are the dentists that they have on their list of approved people. And this is also to ensure the quality of service. If you are looking to have a more social-orientated business, partnerships with organizations such as the National Youth Development Agency, such as the Department of Social Development, such as WESSA or the Department of Environmental Affairs, are very strategic and important for you to deliver your social service. So you need to think about who are the people that you need to partner with, who are absolutely essential to helping you deliver your product or service, whose goals are aligned to yours, and what strategic partnerships can you build with. Next, you need to look at your channels of distribution. How will your customers get your product? If your idea is to set up an online store, how will you deliver the product to them? Will you drive yourself? Will you hire drivers to do the logistics for you? Do people need to come to your store physically, in which case you need to consider the location? Where are your customers mostly based? How far are they comfortable with traveling to obtain your service? And what will the rental cost be if you have to find or build a facility within that radius? Who can you think of that can assist in getting your product to them? We take KFC for example. For years, KFC has only had a store. You could only come into store and get the product. But with COVID-19 and with the digital revolution, they've had to update their channel of distribution. They've had to register with Mr. D, and they've had to develop their own app. So now customers can order online, stuff is made in store, and they have drivers or delivery men that either pick it up by them or go out and deliver the food. So thinking about how can you get your customers that is in an easy way for them and for you to get the product. Lastly, we need to look at the cost structures. Cost structures refer to what will it cost to deliver your product or service. So if you are KFC, you need to cost your chicken, you need to cost your 11 herbs and spices, you need to cost the oil for the deep fryer, you need to cost your electricity, you need to cost your staff, and you need to cost your delivery guy. What are your direct and indirect costs? Now, direct costs are things that you spend money on directly. So you spend money on your chicken, the raw material. You spend money on your wood that you're going to use for carving. You spend money on your fuel to go to the workshop. Those are direct costs. Indirect costs are the wear and tear on your laptop as you do your presentation, the amount of oil used up in the frying process of your chicken, the amount of wear and tear on your chisel as you carve your wood, the amount of water you spend watering your herb garden in order to provide herbs to restaurants, the amount of gas or electricity it takes to bake your burger buns or your rolls. These are all your indirect costs. Stuff that you don't necessarily see directly, but that still cost your business. You need to be able to calculate each and every cost. So when you're doing your cost structure them in terms of direct and indirect costs. And look at what it costs to deliver your service. Because you can't sell your service or your product for less than what it costs to make. You are then making no profit. And once you know how much it costs to do the service, you can now look at how you can cover these costs. So now you need to look at your revenue streams. How are you going to cover these costs? How much sales do you need to do to break even? So break even is the point where your expenses and your income are equal. So how much is it going to cost you to fry that chicken? And then how much are you going to sell it for to cover that cost of the chicken? And how much chicken do you need to sell to make enough to cover your salary? This will give you an idea of how much time and effort you have to put into selling your service or product. What are the other sources of income that can complement your product and services? We just talked about KFC. At first, they only had in-store sale, but with the digital revolution and with COVID-19 happening, they have now moved to also, in addition to having a store, have a drive-through so that people don't have to sit in their store, but you can just order, drive around the corner, pick it up, and go on your way. And also apps, Uber Eats, Mr. Delivery, and a KFC app. These are all sources of income that complement their original service, which is making and selling chicken. What other sources of income can you think of for your idea? If you're a facilitator, do you just have to facilitate in person? Or can you have a website where you have pre-recorded lectures and students register with you? Or perhaps doing virtual lectures using Zoom or Microsoft Teams? Or perhaps selling these lectures on Airbnb experiences in addition to physical workshops that you host, in addition to a website that you host. And these are things that you don't all have to put in place all at once, but in terms of your growth plan. And when we talk about the business plans on a later stage, then we talk about a 5-year plan or a business growth plan. You can look at how you can add in these other streams of revenue. over time to sustain your business. Because a business that stays exactly the same all the time and doesn't adapt is a business that will eventually grow old and die. Look at BlackBerry. BlackBerry never adapted its service to the growing consumer market. So while it was popular in the early 2000s, it is now nearly obsolete in the 2010s. And so your business needs to be able to grow and adapt to emerging consumer needs. And I know there is a section on the business model canvas called customer relationships. And this section just speaks about how do you intend to maintain your customer relationships. And as we've done when we talked about cost structures and revenue streams and channels of delivery, it's just about how will you adapt to the needs of your customer to keep them engaged. WhatsApp has a platform called WhatsApp for Business, which makes communication with your customers simple and easy, as long as you remember to keep it professional. There are Facebook pages that you could use to advertise your specials. There are groups for certain areas, so find the groups for your area and post in there all your specials, all your rates. Use MailChimp to send out bulk emails to all your customers or even people who have just inquired about your service, and keep updating them, send them newsletters. Maintaining customer relationships is very important because at the end of the day, as a customer, you develop a very personal relationship with the people you buy from. This is why you prefer to buy from a certain Spar or a certain Pick n Pay or a certain ShopRite than the others. It's because of the vibe it gives you. It's because of how they treat you. And this is important when thinking about your customers and keeping them engaged in the business. There was a shoe store that wasn't selling much shoes, and they couldn't figure out how are they going to get customers interested in buying their shoes. And what the owner did was he started a running club, and the running club met at his store each morning. And as they met at the store and they started seeing the running shoes and the running gear, and he as a business owner started getting involved with his community, he started seeing that more and more people were now coming to buy from his store. Why? Because he had a relationship with them. The business had a relationship with the customers. This is why you see KFC saying, add 2 Rand to give hope, and we will donate that 2 Rand to a children's home. This is how they maintain a good relationship with their customers. So over here, we're going to have a look at some business models of existing businesses. The first one we're going to have a look at is LinkedIn. So we'll start with their customer segment. So LinkedIn is saying their customers are internet users, professional recruiters, advertisers, and marketers. And these are the customers that they're looking for, that their service speaks to. Their value proposition is that if you use LinkedIn's platform, you'll be able to manage your professional identity and build a professional network. You will be able to increase your professional skills. Agencies will be able to identify the right talent for their target, for their companies. And you'll be able to reach your intended target audience because LinkedIn is simply used for professional education or professional marketing. So there won't be any useless social commentary, there won't be any memes like you would see on Facebook. So this is specifically for professional use. In order for LinkedIn to work, their key activity is platform development. They need to develop their web and Android platforms to have a smooth user interface. The key resources they're going to need is the LinkedIn platform, and they're going to need network. Key partners, they need to partner with data centers who have servers who can capture this information. And they need to partner with content providers, people who can post on LinkedIn, people who can do training on LinkedIn, people who can advise and help them develop the look and feel of their platform. What are the channels of distribution? Their website and mobile apps, as well as field sales using targeted marketing. The customer relationship, their relationship is with the network, cost structure. What are the things that they need to be cognizant of? They need to be cognizant of their web hosting fees with their content and data center. It's going to cost them to do marketing and sales. They need to sell advert space on their website. And it's going to cost them to develop the platform, to pay an app developer, to pay a web developer to develop the platform for them. How are they going to make their money? They're going to have free offerings where they offer you a snippet of a course and ask you to pay for the full course. They will offer hiring solutions, so they will offer a special package to recruiters. They will offer marketing solutions, so they will offer special packages to advertisers and marketers. And they will offer a premium subscription for regular users who want their profiles featured in certain search categories. So this is an example of how LinkedIn designed their business, their online platform. Next, let's look at KFC. So KFC's customer segment are fast food lovers. They're looking at the mass market. They're looking at people who love chicken. And they're looking at the franchisor who might want to buy a KFC store for themselves. These are the customers that they cater for. What is their value proposition? It's fast food. You don't have to slave away in front of a stove for hours. You come in, get your food, go home, quick and easy. It's homemade chicken, and it's made with a secret recipe of 11 herbs and spices. Key activities, they need to market locally. So in each country, they need to design customized ads for that target population. They need to do logistics management. They need to develop their chicken crumb and deliver it. They need to deliver their chicken to each store. Franchise management. They need to ensure that each person who buys a KFC franchise abides by their rules and regulations and does not do any damage to the brand. Catering management. They need to ensure that the people they train are going to follow the same steps in South Africa, as they do in America, as they do in Australia, as they do in Japan, to ensure that their product internationally, locally, regionally, provincially, has the same standards, the same look and feel that you trust from the KFC brand. What are the resources they're going to need? They're going to need a point of sale because they have physical stores. They need a brand, a color scheme, a name, a logo that people instantly recognize no matter where they are. They need their secret recipe because this is part of their value proposition. They need storage, both in the stores and a warehouse for where they can distribute their equipment and their special recipe. And they need a logistics network. They need people who they're going to work with to deliver this. Certain trucking companies. What are the key partners? Pepsi and Coke. Pepsi and Coke can partner with them to put their products in there. And then they can advertise because these are brands that people know and recognize and will want at a store. They need a partnership with food suppliers, certain butcheries, certain poultry farms that provide them with the highest quality chicken. Customer relationship, standard personal assistance. The channels of distribution through a restaurant, through a mobile app on your phone, through a KFC website. Cost structures. Branding and communication, their marketing, storage and tools, the equipment needed in each store. Storage for their equipment, storage for their chicken, storage for their 11 herbs and spices. Their revenue streams, they get their income from their food sales mainly, but also from franchising by selling the concept to others so that a person can pay them to use the KFC name and brand. And this is a typical example of how you would think of a food kind of business. Next, we're going to look at Google. So who is Google's customer segment? Internet users, advertisers and ad agencies, Google members, smartphone owners, developers, and businesses. So Google has a wide variety of customers that they cater to. What is the value that they add? They have a free search engine. They have targeted ads, ads that only suit your need. They have content monetization. If you look at YouTube, you can make money off of YouTube, which is a Google product, simply by having people watch your videos a lot, and therefore advertisers can pay you for ad space on your video because you draw a big crowd. They have a ad display management service. So you could pay Google to put your ads on the top of search results. They have the most preferred operating system. Google is the most used search engine. Not many people use Bing, not many people use Yahoo Search, but billions and billions of people use Google. And they have a hosted web-based Google apps, such as Google Docs, Google Photos, Google Drive, meaning you can access them anywhere in the world from your mobile device or any laptop because it's not hosted on a local server but hosted on a website. So as long as you have access to the website, you can then access these web apps. What are the key activities that Google needs to do? Research and development. They need to build new products, improve existing offerings, improve their user interface, make it easier for people to find things, develop algorithms, and so on. And they have to manage their massive IT structure. They need to manage their server hubs all across the world. What are the key resources they need? They need IT infrastructure. They need intellectual resources. They need articles. They need people to post. They need videos. And they need research and development investments. They need to invest in developing new tech, in developing new algorithms, in developing new ways of reaching customers. The key partners, they need distribution partners such as Play Store, such as Samsung, such as laptop developers, such as Dell and HP. They need open handset alliance, which means they need to connect with all the cell phone developers. They need an operating system for Chrome. They need an AdSense network partner for their YouTube ads and for the ads on their Google websites. And they need content developers and publishers. Customer relationship, it's automated wherever possible. So you as a consumer don't have to always put in your password or always log in or always customize your search results. Google does it automatically for you. They need dedicated sales for large accounts. They need analytics to help partners understand how their search results form who searches for which products in what countries and what regions. The channels of distribution, it's global sales and a support team and a multi-product sales force. Their cost structures, traffic acquisition costs, data center costs, research and development costs, sales and marketing costs, and general administrative costs. Their revenues, ad revenues from Google websites, from network websites, from enterprise products, and sales of Google services. So this is how Google has structured their business. And looking at these examples, it should now become clearer to you how you can use this business model canvas to develop your business strategy and to develop your business idea into something that is marketable and profitable for you. Now, once you've developed your concept a bit, it is now time to do market research, to go out there and see if people will actually buy your product. Now, there are two types of research. You get primary research, where you talk to your target market, you talk to customers, you talk to your friends, your family, to strangers, to people at a mall, to shops who are already selling the products that you are selling, to find out what works, what doesn't work, what do they want, and what is not being offered, and how should you cater your idea or your business, service, or product to them. In secondary research, look at your competitors. What works for them? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? If KFC uses 11 herbs and spices, but they don't really have good spicy chicken, perhaps there is a way for you to enter into that market. KFC is deep fried in oil, so it's not all that healthy. Perhaps you could offer a healthier alternative. So look at your competitors and see what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and how you could capitalize on this to enter into your market. Look at the consumer behavior in the area you want to set up. If your customers are the type who go to certain malls, who love hiking, perhaps these are areas where you could set up shop so that you can capture your customer without them having to go out of their way to see you or to get your service. And most importantly, what are the average prices people are willing to pay? There's no use in having a good service if your service is far more expensive than what the people who are going to use your service is willing to pay. Even if you have the world's best service, but it's out of the price range of your target market, you are not going to make any sales. So find out from your target market what you are willing to pay. Last year, I was in the process of setting up a restaurant in a certain area. And part of our research in that area was to find out what products they want to do. So we were setting up a fast food restaurant. We had a space at a particular mall, and there was a taxi rank nearby. So we knew we had the foot traffic, but we needed to find out what is going to drive the foot traffic into our store. So we asked people around. We asked them, so what are the things that they like to buy in terms of fast food? We asked them what is the average price they're willing to pay. And we also asked them, when do they most often buy fast food? This was so that we can cater and make specials for certain days. This was so that we can make the kind of products that they're willing to buy. So if they told us they like Gatsby's and they like fried chicken, we can't come out there and sell to them steak and egg and bacon sandwiches, because that's not what the customer wants. So we had to adapt and change our menu in such a way that some of the products that the customers want are on the menu, which will bring them into the store and willing to try some of our other products. And this is why it's important to go out there and do market research. So your homework is going to be go out there, take a day or two, speak to people about your business idea and get feedback, and if necessary, adapt your idea or your business model according to the feedback you've received. Next, we'll talk about company registration. So I'm only going to talk about the registration requirements in South Africa because this is where we are based. So in South Africa, you get the CIPC, and they are the national government body for companies and company registrations. Every company in South Africa that is registered with CIPC. Their website can be found at www.cipc.co.za. Here you can do your online registrations, and you can also find out what are the registration requirements. So to register a regular private company, you need to fill out two forms. That is a name reservation form, or a COR 19, which costs 50 Rand, and a memorandum of incorporation form, which is COR 15B, the cost of which is 475 Rand. Now, you do not necessarily pay for these forms. These forms are free to download, but in order for them to process your form, you need to pay these fees. First, you will fill in these forms. You can download them for free from the CIPC website. Fill them in, add the necessary attachments and documents, and then pay using the bank details found on the forms. Then you will email to the email address provided your proof of payment, your filled in documents, and your necessary attachments, and you will email it to the CIPC. It'll take approximately 2 to 3 weeks on average for them to process your forms and send you back your company registration documents. Alternatively, you could pay an agency to do this for you. There are a number of agencies in South Africa that offer this service. However, you would have to pay more than the registration fee that they offer you. So they would charge you these registration fees plus their service fee, meaning you could pay double or even triple what CIPC asks. Once you receive your registration certificate, you can now go to the bank to open your business account. What you would need is minutes from a meeting where your chairperson, treasurer, and secretary, or whoever your 3 signatories will be, are elected to be signatories on this bank account. And also where you state that as a board of your company, you have decided that this is the bank account that you are going to open. Take that minutes with your company registration and the nominal fee needed to open the account and go visit the bank. You'll speak to a business banker. They will advise you on the options and the packages they have. Sign your documents and get your bank card within 2 to 3 days, depending on the type of bank account you are opening. Now, each bank has different offers with different prices and different benefits. So please go over all of these and choose carefully. While it is possible to change bank accounts once you're busy, it does cost money to open a new bank account and to cancel one. So choose wisely. Look at the benefits, look at the drawbacks, and look at what other users are saying. Look at whether this banking can be done via mobile apps, but also look at what kind of safety protocols and procedures they have in place so that nobody is stealing money or doing transactions without approval. Once you have your bank account, you can now take that bank account letter and your registration documents to the South African Revenue Service, or SARS, to register your business for income tax. This is an important step in registering your business because if you want to do government tenders, if you want to get government assistance for funding, you are going to need to be registered for income tax. You will need Form IT-77, which is downloadable from the SARS website. You'll need to fill it in, have the relevant ID documents. Again, you will need minuted meeting minutes stating who is allowed to transact with SARS on behalf of your company, and that person's ID document and proof of address, along with your bank account and your company registration documents. Once you are registered with SARS, you can then register on SARS e-filing, where you can do all your tax-related documentation online and not necessarily have to go into a SARS office physically. As a new business with a new bank account, you will automatically qualify for a tax clearance certificate. What the certificate does is state that all of your taxes are in order with the South African Revenue Service, that you do not owe the government any money, and that you are a reputable business. This is especially important for funding applications and for government tenders. Without a tax clearance certificate, you will not be able to access government or even international funding. Now, after your first year of operation, you first need to submit your tax returns. And once your tax returns clear, then you qualify to print a new tax certificate. Your tax certificate is only valid for 12 months. So in your 10th month, you should already start putting together your tax submissions so that in the 12th month, when your tax clearance expires, you can already print a renewed one. And lastly, you might need a triple BEE certificate. This is simply to certify that you are a black-owned business or a business that looks after typically black interests, meaning that previously disadvantaged people benefit from the operation of your business. Now, as a small holding, once you first start out, you can simply download a triple BEE affidavit from the CIPC website. Fill in all the relevant details and please be as accurate as possible and as truthful as possible, and have it stamped by a commissioner of oaths either at a police station or a post office. Once you have that, you basically have all the documents you need to run your business. You'll have your business registration document, your proof of banking details, your tax clearance and certificate, as well as your triple BEE certificate. Once your company grows large enough, you will have to go to a registered triple BEE provider to get your triple BEE certificate, or via your auditor. Types of companies. You get state-owned enterprises such as Telkom and Eskom that are owned by an organ or a division of the state and are run by the state. You get private companies, which are your CCs, your PTYs, and even cooperatives fall under this. They must at least have one director and may not offer its securities or shares to the public. Even sole proprietors fall under private companies. You get public liability companies. These are incorporated by one or more members, have a minimum of one director, and these directors are jointly and severally liable for any debts and liabilities incurred by the company. These are typically your unions and professional bodies for accountants, engineers, lawyers, such as the Health Professions Council of South Africa or FAMSA or the accounting body. You also get public companies. These are companies that are allowed to offer their shares to the public, meaning people can pay for a share. That money counts as income towards the company, but that person now has part ownership in the business. A typical example of this is a cooperative where you need to have at least 5 members, each with 20% shares in the business. You could also change from a private company to a public company, as in the case with some record companies, MTN, Vodacom, and even the Waterfront Mall in Cape Town is a private company that has gone into public domain. So you could buy shares there. Non-profit companies. Non-profit companies is a new thing in South Africa that came about because non-profit organizations in South Africa were struggling to make funds. Now, because a non-profit organization is not allowed to sell their services to generate a profit for the organization, non-profit companies were introduced as a means to make up for this. Because non-profit organizations were always dependent on donor companies, a lot of them ended up closing down because of sustainability. So a non-profit company is a company that is devoted towards social engagement or social upliftment, but it is allowed to sell services that allow them to make a profit that they can then employ and pay people from these profits and grow their assets, just like a business, but with a non-profit focus. And these are the types of companies that you get within South Africa. Please consider carefully how you want to register your company. This is because depending on the type of registration you go for, there are certain rules and regulations you'll have to apply for. If you do a cooperative for which there is more government funding, you must have 5 members with equal shares, and you are then able to sell shares. If you want to go it alone and do it on your own, you'll have to register as a private company. This also means that access to certain funds or funding lines would not be possible because of the type of registration you have. So please think carefully about how you want to register your company and what kind of registration you want to do. If you are the type of person who wants to get government assistance or government funding, please research funding opportunities for each type of registration before you start with your registration process. And now we've reached the end of our presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you do have any questions, please feel free to bring them up in any of the following sessions.